Some stories refuse to die. Like the vampire itself, they linger, haunting our imaginations. Nosferatu, the silent film from 1922, is one such story. Born from the shadowy depths of the German Expressionist movement, it survived lawsuits, destruction orders, and time itself. In this video, we'll uncover the fascinating history behind Nosferatu, a tale of artistic ambition, copyright disputes, and cinematic immortality. In post, World War I. Germany, the film industry was thriving, especially within the realm of German Expressionism, a style defined by stark contrasts, exaggerated sets, and surreal visuals. Among those captivated by this movement was Albin Grau, a producer and occultist. Grau believed in the power of supernatural tales and envisioned a film that would bring the vampire mythos to life on screen. Grau and director F.W. Murnau decided to adapt Bram Stoker's Dracula, the iconic vampire novel published in 1897. Stoker's work had popularized vampires in Western literature, but the filmmakers sought to reinterpret the story through the lens of German folklore and expressionist aesthetics. Unfortunately, they couldn't secure the rights to Dracula from Stoker's widow, Florence Stoker. Instead of abandoning their vision, they opted to rewrite key elements of the story to avoid legal issues. This led to changes like renaming Count Dracula to Count Orlok and altering character names and settings. The story, however, remained largely the same. A vampire terrorizes a small town, bringing plague and death in his wake. Florence Stoker, Bram Stoker's widow, and the executor of his literary estate, quickly became aware of the unauthorized adaptation. Furious at what she saw as a blatant theft of her late husband's work, she filed a lawsuit against Prana Film, the production company behind Nosferatu. The courts ruled in her favor, stating that Nosferatu was indeed an infringement on Bram Stoker's copyright. The judgment was severe. All existing copies of the film were to be destroyed. It's worth noting that copyright laws at the time were relatively new, and this case became one of the earliest high-profile examples of copyright enforcement in the film industry. However, much like Count Orlok himself, Nosferatu refused to die. Several prints of the film survived. Some say thanks to Grau and Murnau deliberately hiding them. Regardless, these surviving copies ensured that Nosferatu would live on to become one of the most iconic films in cinema history. What made Nosferatu so unique? First and foremost, its visual style. F.W. Murnau's use of lighting and shadows created an atmosphere of dread that was groundbreaking at the time. The exaggerated angles and surreal settings drew heavily from German Expressionism, amplifying the film's dreamlike, nightmarish quality. Max Schreck's portrayal of Count Orlok remains one of the most terrifying depictions of a vampire. Unlike the suave, aristocratic Dracula of later adaptations, Orlok is grotesque and animalistic. His elongated fingers, rat-like teeth, and stiff movements make him seem almost inhuman. This interpretation of the vampire set a precedent for countless horror films that followed. The film also used innovative techniques for its time, including stop-motion effects to make objects move as if by magic and fast motion to show unnatural movements. These techniques, combined with Murnau's meticulous framing, created a film that felt truly otherworldly. Despite its rocky beginnings, Nosferatu has had an enormous impact on cinema. Its visual language and thematic elements influenced not only horror films, but cinema as a whole. Werner Herzog's 1979 remake, Nosferatu the Vampire, paid homage to the original while adding new layers of meaning. The film's legacy extends beyond remakes and tributes. In 2000, the movie Shadow of the Vampire offered a fictionalized take, on the making of Nosferatu, humorously imagining Max Schreck as a real vampire. More recently, Robert Eggers announced a new adaptation of Nosferatu, set to release in 2024, with Bill Skarsgård as Count Orlok and Lily Rose Depp in a leading role. From its humble beginnings as an unauthorized adaptation to its status as a cornerstone of horror cinema, Nosferatu has proven to be as immortal as the vampire it portrays. Its story is one of perseverance, of art surviving against all odds. As we continue to revisit and reinterpret this classic, it's clear that Nosferatu will continue to cast its shadow over the world of cinema for generations to come.